Hi guys. Hi. Welcome to.
Yeah, you should do that for the intro. If you do that, that'll be quite good.
This is the intro. We've started.
Hey. No, but when are you going to start?
Oh, go on then.
Yeah, so this is the. So look. Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 40. For anyone who's listening, what I did, I've shaved my head to expose my baldness. So I just kind of
it should be
screen.
Hello everybody, my name's George. I'm currently losing hair at a fast rate.
I'm a recovering hairaholic.
Yeah, your hair's becoming a myth.
But look how bad it is.
Yeah, it's not great.
Look at it.
You're gonna stand like that.
Shall I stand like this for the whole podcast?
It's that little thick bit here.
I know. What did you say earlier, Jack? It's about Ronaldo. That's it. Yeah, I look like the
number 9 Ronaldo.
Number 9. Oh, yeah, I love how you didn't say fat Ronaldo there. I think that was a nice, very nice touch. But you know, he was fatter, but still amazing. Amazing. Anyway, hello. How are you both? You well?
No.
Yeah.
Good
week.
Oh yeah.
Good week.
Oh yeah.
Vaccinations rolling out. You know.
Vaccinations.
It's coming. It's coming. The gyms are gonna open.
Yeah. Well, that's what we had a previous 4-second conversation before this, and you said gyms won't open until June. No, I'm just
July.
I don't believe. July. Even better. I hope they don't open until next July.
Managers don't open again. That's it. Gyms are down.
Well, yeah. If you think about this though, if they don't open until July, we haven't seen a gym to work in for half a year. When it gets to July,
we're currently going into 8 months of lockdown now. This will be 8 months.
I'll be thinking about Christmas by then. You know, I'll be starting to think about Christmas. I know it's so it's I know it's terrible, but you know what it's like.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we should get on. We're going to talk about strength training today.
We starting?
We're starting now. Yeah. So we're going to talk.
Yeah, cool.
This is more material for the intro. Hi, Jack. I would say. So thanks, Jack, and thanks, Simon. Strength training and how to differentiate a strength program from a non-strength program. Is that a thing? A non-strength program? This is a non-strength based. This is a non-strength program, and how to program and progress it. So I'll come to you first, Jack, seeing as you are the strength and conditioning guy. Let's talk about someone who maybe has done 16, 20 weeks of gym-based workouts, press-ups, simply press-ups, gym-based workouts, and they're looking to start to improve their strength. They've increased their fitness already, but their goal is now to improve their strength. Where would you start these people?
Well, it's funny because you say strength, but strength for someone who's never done anything will start immediately.
Yeah, so let's talk about it as in total strength.
Yeah,
but you can't get strong doing 15 reps. Are you chatting about?
No, you can't get any stronger. Yeah, no, it's impossible.
Can't get I usually do strength training around sort of 55 reps.
Let's talk we can get into that, but let's talk about the pure
Jack was there
5 reps.
Give a good point there now.
It is. We've talked about this before. If you can do 8 reps at 15 kilos and then you can do 10 reps at 15 kilos, you're stronger. Okay? So I get that, but my point is...
We should put a warning on this video. Yeah. Don't walk when eating.
Okay, Jack, you were going to make a good point before Simon kept interrupting you with the 15 rep thing. So just go.
I think people forget with strength, the first phase where people get strong is more neurological than anything. It's the brain working out, I can do this movement with this load, and I get used to doing it. And so the pathways between your brain and the limbs of your body doing the things in that pattern actually start to work. And like you say, even after 20 weeks, it will still be neurological from that point. For probably the best part of a year will be just neurological. That's where you get the most gains from your strength. That's why when people suddenly start, they're like, oh my God, I'm seeing so much improvement. You're able to put on weight on the bar, on the dumbbell, week on week on week on week, and just continue doing that. And then suddenly there's the shock where that stops happening because you kind of reach the end of that neurological section, however long that is for each person, and then it doesn't start happening. And that's the point where you start to have to look at going away from very simple programming and then increase it a little bit. So that's when you can look at becoming more structured and having more of a system in place.
So just to confirm, at the point where, as we all know, when someone starts any sort of training, but in particular specific to this, weight training, they'll get a spike in strength, which is the neurological strength gains that you're talking about. And at the point where that starts to plateau, is that when you would say that neurological adaptations have started to slow down or stop happening? I think everyone, if you're looking to get stronger, get to that point first. So get to the point where you can't just simply use the most simple progressive overload system to increase your strength and keep progressing each week, and then start to look at other ways to increase your strength. Oh, a different part of Simon's house. Yeah, well, I think Simon, turn the camera off if you're going to beat the dog up, mate. Yeah.
I silently put her in her cage, don't I? Which is quite good. I'm doing the point.
Yeah, just so the four people that are watching, Simon does not beat his dog up. Okay, just to be clear on that. That was a joke.
I can't confirm that. I really can't confirm that.
Okay, cool. So at that point there, Jack, when we get to the point where those neurological adaptations slow down, where do you go from there? How would you structure that? How would you do it?
So that's when you can start, probably, it depends on the individual, obviously, but you can start looking at more structured systems, and you probably start to get into much lower rep ranges. You could probably still keep it as simple as, you don't have to do any complicated systems like a 5x5 or anything like that. You still wouldn't need to do and delve into that. For most people, you probably don't need to do that for years and years. You would just start to look at potentially programming more specifically. So start to look at percentages, because with strength, if you really want to get into that strength zone, you want to be looking at 85% plus of your max weight. And I guess a side topic would be should people test their 1RM? I personally think no. I don't know what you guys think.
But if you're going purely specifically for strength, as in like you're that person that wants to see an improvement on their bench press specifically or something, let's say, then you probably would go down that path. But not really. It's never really a person's goal when it comes to PTing for me, because I suppose you don't sell that as a package, whereas people would go to a power lifter for specific stuff like that, because it is a very, very specific thing.
Yeah, that's only ever do it is if someone was literally competing in powerlifting.
Yeah, there's only 3 people that I've done it for in my time. As a personal trainer over the last 8 or 9 years. So, and they specifically requested that that's what they wanted to do. So but yeah, if it was completely my choice, I probably wouldn't. And I'd probably look at,
risky.
Yeah. I'd probably look at, seeing what they do and there's ways that you can work the percentages up. You can work it out from 10, 8 or 5 reps, and you get a rough estimation as well.
You've got a year's worth of data, especially as a PT, when we're recording down people's programs and stuff, then, at the start of the year, you may have been doing something like a single leg step up, let's say for 8 reps on 6 kilos each leg, let's say, just give or take. And then at the end of that year, you might be doing a walk and lunge with 12 kilos in each hand. And there already you've gone more advanced on an exercise, and you've increased your load, possibly plus reps as well. So you know what I mean? It's indication enough that you've already gained strength. But when it comes to very specific strength training, I don't think most people would enjoy it as much though.
It's slower, isn't it?
It's slow. Yeah. I don't think that people get it, because what Jack is saying is that, in your early stages of training, you gain all that neurological firing, and you linking all the muscle groups together, and you're creating new patterns which are better and stronger. But then when you come in the proper strength training, that's just specifically what you're trying to recover is your nervous system. You're trying to fire it up in all cylinders, and then make sure that you get enough recovery in between sets that you can fire everything up on all cylinders again. And that means having between 3 and 5 minute rest after doing something like 2 to 3 repetitions. So the 2 to 3 reps might be really hard, but it's very short lived. It's 10 seconds worth of work. And then you have anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes of sitting around, not feeling fatigued, not feeling drained, but just sitting around waiting so you can properly recover to hit that same exercise again with the same impact and the same neural drive. So like your exercises compared to a hypertrophy or a fat loss, let's say, or a strength endurance type workout, your exercises might be down to 4, maybe 3 exercises in a workout, and your sets, they can be high, but dramatically over a whole workout it would be a lot lower. There's a lot less like output on there.
Yeah. Going back to the point about the 1 rep max, how would you, have you guys got a way where you can estimate what that is, so then you can work back the percentages of the 1 rep max, Jack? Is there a way that you would do that?
Yeah,
without actually having to do it. What's that make?
They're just calculated online.
So you just
So you type it in estimates.
And you don't, like, the thing is, like, some people, like, they dedicate like a whole week to like testing week. It's like a whole week of training just gone, just because they want to test what their squat is. Their
A 1 rep max will take what, half an hour to do?
It's a waste of time. Like, you can just, it's like you said, Simon, you're going to be doing, if you're strength training, you're going to be in that ballpark where 5 reps less, 6 reps less, where you may be doing 6 sets of 2, 5 sets of 3, whatever it is. Okay, 5 sets of 3, say, this is a whole other topic. People probably aren't hitting the weights they probably should.
Yeah.
They don't really understand what, or don't know what it is to actually be like, right, that's my heavy 3 for the day. That's my limit. Yeah. And you could just easily take that one day, be like, all right, well, I felt really good today. Throughout my 5 sets of 3, I didn't just stay at 2.5 kilograms above what I did last week because I felt really good. Actually, on my second set, I'm going to put it up another 1.25 kilograms and so on. So that by the end of the set, you're lifting actually 5 kilograms more than last week. That was maximal on your last set. Okay, what is that weight? Put that into the calculator. Then you can easily just find out from your session, your normal training session, what your estimated 1RM is. You don't have to wipe away a whole week of training and session. Be like, I'm going to just do my squat. It's going to take me an hour, and then that's it.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste of a session, really, isn't it? Unless, like I said, unless people specifically want to do it, there's also a satisfaction about actually lifting.
I think
more.
Yeah. I think if you're with someone like a trainer, okay, the risk might be slightly less. But if you're on your own trying to, I think just the cost to benefit ratio, because you're trying to go maximally. You're on your own.
Keep it safe.
I think there's also
yourself like, well, then great. Was that's another 6 weeks gone.
Yeah.
But there's a thing as well. I think that people need to understand when it comes to strength training is that you're trying to do the cleanest and most efficient reps when you're strength training. You're trying to have your technique at an all-time high for those specific exercises, and you're not trying to fail in the lift either. So unlike hypertrophy or strength hypertrophy, you can fail, you can break muscle tissue down, you can structurally fail and then carry on, and next week you might do a couple more reps before failure. But in strength, you're trying to hit those reps really clean. They can be tough, but if you're setting yourself up for 6 sets of 2, like Jack said, you want to be hitting 6 sets of 2. You don't want to be doing 5 sets of 2 and 1 set of 1. You've missed your programming.
And this is
very different and very specific.
Well, this is where working out the percentages correctly is as Jack, you used to do a couple of times when you were away at the gym we worked at together. We used to follow, when I followed some of your programs, you used to get people to get up to a point like
But just a
what
heavy 4 for the day, heavy 3 for the day.
So no, what you get me to do is you get them up to maybe what their 5 rep is, what they feel they can do for 5 reps, and then they work just underneath that threshold.
I think
that's a really good way of doing it, because it means that, like Simon was saying, they hit their reps. We've tested it. We look like that 5 was the 5, and if we do any more rounds on that weight, we'll likely drop reps, work just underneath it. I think that's a really good way of doing it for anyone who's listening. Don't work on the weight that you can just about do 5 for. Maybe pitch it just underneath. I think another point that kind of goes with what you said there, Simon, about the technique of your lifts when it comes to those lower rep ranges. We're trying to get them as clean as possible. Delving into the low rep ranges should take a long time. Would we both agree on that? Should people who have just started training, it should take them a while before they start working into the rep ranges under 5 and under.
Yeah.
Partly, in my opinion, because it's very, very hard to maintain good technique at that heavy a load. I think you need a high training age to understand what you need to do and how you need to be when you create those lifts, when they get really, really hard, to switch on, sink the position into place, and then perform the lift when you're taking 4 or 5 seconds on the concentric. So I think that takes a long time. And I think the point that Jack made at the very beginning, that you're weight training, so you're getting stronger. That's what should be on your mind. And those lower rep ranges can come, maybe a year, maybe longer down the line for people from brand new. From brand new to the fitness world. You can delve
in these. Sometimes I don't mind delving in the lower rep ranges, like 5s and stuff, when I'm cueing technique and I don't want fatigue. But it's not anywhere near the level of weight that would classify it as a strength. The intensity's not there. It's merely just so I can break somebody's technique down and make them do a movement and nice and clean before they start ever getting a chance to get anywhere near fatigue. So I could just be like, but then I'll do multiple sets on that. So I take the total volume up. So if you were going to try and do 3 sets of 8, you might break that down and do 8 sets of 4 or something like that. You know what I mean? You can do a lot more sets. The volume's going to be really high. The rest periods don't have to be as long as strength training, but it's crisper for that.
Yeah. So let's go back to the structure of a let's say 3 phases of a program. We've done, let's say, a year with someone. They're going into the lower rep ranges for the first time. Let's just take one muscle group as an example that we can of course use this for all muscle groups, but let's just take the deadlift as an example because it's simple. Where would you start them on the first phase when we finally start breaking into the 5 and below reps, and where would you end them over a 3-week phase? 3-phase program, sorry.
So I wrote down here because we spoke about percentages a second ago. And that's the common sort of thing most people tend to use, where we spoke about you work out what your maximum is, you base off percentages. But I actually, like a couple of years ago, I went away from using percentages as much because the variability in how someone feels each week, each day is so great that you can't, having the percentage and have it set doesn't always work. So say you start that week and you're like, okay, we kind of have an idea of where you would maximally lift for 1. This is your deadlift. I want you to do 5 reps. So in that perfect textbook world, you would choose probably around 80% for 5 reps of their max. That's sort of the ballpark you'd work in. I wouldn't ever do that. I would probably go just under anyway to get them used to it. But then I probably wouldn't even have the percentage in my head. I'd be like, okay, how do you feel today? Feel pretty shit. Okay, we're going to set a heavy 5 for today. We're going to start at this and build up during the set. And then the last set would be the heaviest one they do. That would be the heaviest 5 for the day.
To reach a peak set rather than
next week when they do it, they could come in and feel absolutely brilliant. and actually it's 10 kilograms more than last week.
Yeah. Cool.
It's so much different than like when you're training at a lower intensity of overall weight than it is when you're doing strength training, because we know that sleep can affect it. We know that the hydration levels can massively affect it, and overall recovery. Whereas the other stuff you can get away with a little bit more. When you're in your 10s, your 12s, you can push a little bit more on them, because there's a much greater chance of success with the reps, with throughout the workout. But strength is just one of those ones that you always want to be. There's more caution than anything. There used to be a really famous bench presser who would go in and he'd warm up with a broomstick, and he would do that. And on the day, if he didn't like how it felt, he'd be leaving. And he'd bench 3 times a week. He'd squat and yada yada all the times, but he'd just leave. He's like, there's no point.
Yeah, it's not going to get anything out.
Yeah, we've had times, like I'm sure, where you've went the back squat one day and you're warm up weight and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, that felt incredibly heavy.
Yeah, that's not how you're supposed to be feeling.
And you shouldn't be failing. Like, you shouldn't ever fail. I can't remember who said it, but there's one, I think, powerlifter. He never failed unless it was, I think, in competition. He never failed because you shouldn't.
Yeah,
there's no point in doing that, and that's not failing like making mistakes. It's failing being able to perform the rep that you're programmed or the weight that you programmed.
That's it.
But that's how I would do it. I would have the rep scheme, but weight-wise, I'd have an idea of where I'd like them to be, but because of the nature of the job, that can't always come to fruition.
would you expect to see a net gain over the 12 weeks, for example? Let's say it's 3 weeks, you would per phase, you'd expect to see a net gain, whether it goes I'm doing a zigzag motion for anyone listening. Whether the fluctuations happen, by the end it will go up. So that's the I like to on a personal, I like to I think people get too involved with it's 5 sets of 5, and then it's 6 sets of 3s, and then 8-9 sets of 2s. So I think people read things or listen to someone who might say that that's the basic structure for strength training. But I think with most people, you don't really need to go that deep into it. And what I often like to do is, especially when we start delving into the rep ranges, but certainly throughout my whole training, is I like to say, for example, I'll get someone on week 1 doing 5s. They may even do 2 or 3 rounds of it. They'll do obviously the build-up rounds, and they'll do 3 maybe working sets. And then this is the first phase of programming. And then I might get them to do, by the 3rd or 4th week, then they've done 5 rounds of the 5. So they've taken 3 to 4 weeks to finally do 5 rounds of 5. And then at that point, I haven't put the weight up unless I've undercooked it anywhere in the program. But let's just say if I haven't, I probably wouldn't put the weight up. I just put the sets up week by week until we hit 5 rounds. And then maybe on the next phase, I'll still do 5s. I won't drop down to 3s. I'll still do 5s, because I still think most people shouldn't be going near 2s or 3s. There's some people who have trained long enough to get there, but I think most people, I kind of stay away from those low rep ranges. So I might, the second phase, start that process again. Okay, we'll put the weight up now, but let's go back to 3 rounds and let's build that up again. So it's a much more measured way of putting the weights up. I definitely think there's this thing that people have where they feel like they must go up in weight each week. They just absolutely must. And that's simply not true. We've talked about the various ways you can progress, reps, but also quality of lifts. If you've lifted the same weight the next week, but it felt much better, the technique was much better, you're stronger, just because the number hasn't gone up. So I think that's a good way of structuring it if you're working out on your own and not with a coach, and you want to, you're a little unsure. That's a real simple approach that I find tends to get people stronger, but also gives them a kind of break every 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Because by the time they get to the 4th week and they're hitting 5 rounds of 5 with all the other accessories to the workout, that's a tiring workout. That's a neurally fatiguing workout. So to go back the next week and do 5s again is quite a demand for your everyday person. So we drop back down to the 3 rounds at a higher weight, and that kind of gives them a little bit of let's call it a deload, but it's not really a deload because the intensity is going up slightly. So, but I think mentally as well, they know they're going into the next week. Oh, I don't have to do 5 rounds. That's nice, and it gives them 3 weeks to prepare for that lift again. So that's another thing I think that.
I was going to jump on there as well and ask a question of.
Excuse me.
COVID. Ask the question of what is the benefits for the average, not the everyday gym goer of doing strength training? Because I believe we should all do phases of it, especially if you're training over a period of years. I definitely think that everybody should be doing phases of strength in there, no matter the goal. But what are the benefits of doing that? Gym goer.
So there's a couple of things.
Why would they do it? Why would they strength train?
Well, there's a couple of ways you can look at it here from my perspective, and the first one is most people don't just exercise in the gym. Most people don't just exercise. The gym is often part of their workout routine, and if you're doing stuff that's where you're playing football or something like that. Or rugby, or especially something like rugby. I think strength training as part of a balanced workout is a real enabler for that sort of thing. Okay, because we know that loads of people, and not just if you play sports, which is the second point. You take someone like myself. I've got 2 kids, for an example. I'm constantly lifting them up, playing with them, and I want to be able to do that. So I do think it helps with your everyday life as well. I, touch wood, don't suffer with any injuries or minimal injuries.
Lower back pain.
Apart from yeah.
Why are you standing today, George?
Why are you standing up?
I'll talk about that in a second. I will talk about that because I think it's a good point to make. But I think that sort of work enables me certainly, and I think a lot of my clients, to be able to do the active things that we do in life day to day.
Yeah, very similar to what I wrote down. So longevity is the key thing, to be able to improve your daily performance, not just for the next year or your next holiday, but when you're 85, so that you don't have to have a Zimmer frame or a stick to walk around, and you're not one of those, not their fault, people that literally walk around looking at the floor. That's the biggest selling point, I think. If you can't understand how that will benefit you by doing that now, how it will benefit the later you in 20, 35 years, then I don't really know what else bigger benefit it can give you other than that.
Off the back of that, Jack, here's a question for both of you that's come up in my head the other day. Osteoporosis is something that has been said for ages that it's more prevalent in women than men when they get to a certain age. With the younger generation now, loads of women are now really into weight training, much more than they ever have been. In your opinions, do you think that this generation now, in 30, 40 years' time, the women will have much less osteoporosis cases? Or is that a really tough question to answer?
In my opinion, I think because the evidence supports it, obviously there's other factors because they're women, because they have a menstrual cycle and all that sort of stuff, and they lose blood and the iron levels and yada, yada, yada. But like in terms of we're moving away from that generation of stay-at-home wives, where they run the house all the time and look after their kids. We're gone away from that now, and also on top of that, we're much more informed. So now it's cool, it's sexy to train and lift. You know what I mean? People want to feel stronger, they want to look better. Whereas before, it just how many times have you heard clients, parents or something being like, oh, make sure you go easy on them weights. I don't want you to get too bulky. That just shows you the separation, and that's parents. That's not even grandparents. Yeah. So, I do think it'll change, because if you look at the history of these women who haven't went to the gym, haven't done the exercise yet, they've got osteoporosis, they get hip replacements, they get, they get knee replacements and all these things, and yet they've never, you can understand somebody who's in a rugby field getting a knee replacement because, he's grinded over years, he's had high impact, he's had probably tons of injuries where it's brought a lot of damage on. But somebody who hasn't partaken in exercise their whole life, or sports, or done physical exercise as a daily, yet they're having all these joint and hip issues because they haven't got any muscle to support it. Hopefully that's the thing that's going to just be a thing of the past. There's obviously always going to be cases, but in my opinion, the evidence supports it.
Yeah. Do you
I
agree,
don't
Jack?
think it would be women. I think it would be overall, as Simon said, the whole generation. Because lifting and getting stronger now is seen as sexy.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it's done intelligently. I think. But overall, I think you'll see benefit of it in later years. And for my opinions on things like CrossFit and things like that aside, it's got more people. Those sort of things have got more people into recognizing and educating themselves on the benefits. Overall, I think there'll be a whole difference within what you see around where people having to use Zimmer frames, and there'll be less.
Well, even if you just look now, if you even look now currently at like the people who are in their 70s, the 80s, the ones who have stayed active, the ones who have worked longer in life, and then they do their climbing, they go for their walks, and they do all these things. They still garden, they still build stuff. They're all the ones who are in the best shape.
Absolutely. We've seen
cognitively and physically, they're in their best. And you equally have that same person at the same age, grew up the same way, who just didn't choose to move and do exercise, or had jobs that were sedentary, age so quickly. Their movement stops, their power stops, and then again, brain function and everything and cognitive response is less. So it's already there. So I expect by the time we're in our 80s, there'll be more of us around.
So
presently around.
That's a huge reason why. That alone is a huge reason why strength training is beneficial for just everybody, not just the people who enjoy strength training. I just want to, on the back of what we're just talking about there, it's a little controversial, I feel. What about, there's this whole movement now to go plant-based, headlined by Bill Gates apparently yesterday, even though nobody elected him.
He said that people should eat
synthetic beef.
Meat.
But I think the plant-based community is going to grow, and that nothing wrong with that. Just before anyone jumps on me, I'm cool with whatever anyone wants to do. But do you think that will have an impact in later life?
We'll all be dead.
Well, the thing is, we won't know. We won't find out until this, because it's only become popular last 10 years.
Your opinions though on it, is it too controversial a question to answer?
I had tofu last night and it fucking sucked. So
I think my take on it is simply that I don't think the people who go plant-based, absolutely their choice, and I respect them for it. However, I don't think the majority of them will get enough protein in.
Never. I don't think, not consistently.
Not consistently.
So hard to, if you don't have the right knowledge around it, and
it's difficult,
spend some serious time to work out how you're going to. It's not just something you can just be like, So
it is really difficult. I would struggle to write a nutritional plan for somebody and get enough protein in it without them wanting to punch me in the face because they've spent the whole week eating pulses. Cans and cans and cans of it. It is very difficult, but also fat soluble vitamins and all the brain function stuff. It's and this is because I don't, obviously we don't have problems. We've got clients that are vegan, but it's more of a case that people make these decisions based off their moral standpoint, or the treatment the animals, or sometimes just the texture of meat they can't handle. Then without the information or the knowledge then of so I've removed something that my body needs, so what do I do to make sure I replace it?
It'd be good to get a nutritionist on, like an
actual. It'd be really good. It'd be really good. Maybe we'll try and sort that for the next few weeks. Maybe that'd be awesome. Guys, is there anything we've missed here? Anyone want to make another point?
You said earlier, what did you say?
Just his hair.
Why do you think I'm stood at this angle? Well,
Yeah, it looks better than this.
I'll tell you the reason I'm stood at this angle. A, you can't see that, the boldness. And B, we talked about it earlier. The reason I'm stood up is because since doing the Zoom calls on lockdown and spending hours and hours sat down, I started to get a bad back, which is directly related to being sat down for a long time. So what did I do? I removed the trigger. I removed the trigger for back pain.
Took it away.
Chair, took it away, stood up, no back pain. So there you go. That's why. So Jack, you had a final point to make there?
No, it's just an addition. It was when you said earlier there are other ways to measure improvements with regards to your strength or your training. And the other one was actually speed with which you perform the lift.
Yeah.
In terms of on the quality of it, how fast you move it. I mean, if you're lucky enough to have a device that can measure bar speed, use that to base off what weight you should be using, because that's more of a reliable measure. But yeah, speed of the bar or speed of the dumbbell is definitely something to think about.
I think as a coach, you can see it, but actually as someone who's training, you can feel it, can't you? We know when it moved well. We know when it moves quickly. It goes, it feels like there's no weight on it, even though it's the same weight or more than the week before. So, yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, we think we mentioned it in the episode with Lee a while ago, didn't we? Yeah. Cool. Simon, anything to?
No. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
You're good. Protein. Get your protein. Yeah, get your protein. Get your beard.
Get your hair.
Get your hair. Get your hair. I think what's
by hair transport place.
Yeah. Today's show is.
I'll have to get a turkey. The thing is, when it was originally done, it was all right. But what's happened is like it started to grow back, and this has grown back way quicker than this. So at the moment, I think it looks worse than it actually.
You need to keep it short, don't you?
I'm hoping either I keep it really short, or I commit to the regrowth. You know, I can't be in the middle.
But it's like when you obviously when your fringe is at the back of your head, then and you start shaving your head.
Just saw Georgie.
Just because she's disgusting. But when your fringe is no longer here and it's there, and you start actually shaving off, you got to keep it
and tight. Like in reality, that's where it's going to be, isn't it? So that.
I hope the island stays really strong and it just goes around.
The island would be there for a while, like it'd be wispy.
And then that's what's going to happen. That out long, so you're just like, woo, and it gets
and then what's probably going to happen first is going to be like little like bridges from the island to the rest of the hair, and then it will have just island, and then well, by then when the bridges come, I'm going.
That's kind of like when when the whole world was Ireland, and then Ireland just didn't want parts of it, so it just broke away.
Is that why Ireland's away from everywhere else?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because everywhere came from Ireland. Like
everywhere came from Ireland.
Everything.
Well, oldest remains found in Ireland. Where were they from? Ireland. Iraq. They were from Iraqi.
So obviously, yeah, but they say Iraq now, but obviously that was just at the time it was another part of Ireland.
Yeah, Mesopotamia.
Yeah, and they just walked down to this part, and then it split off, and then obviously they died. And
Babylon. I'm just going to say different words for Iraq. Okay. On that note, gents, we on the note that Ireland is everywhere and Babylon. We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
So I'll catch you both at the same time next. Everyone, thank you for listening. I keep saying bye to you two and forget to say thank you, bye to the viewers, all four of you. It's been a pleasure. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you next week.
Take it easy.
Yay.